Authorities say Velasquez fell asleep at the wheel of his semi-tractor trailer while driving on I-88 near Aurora.
46-year-old Renato Velasquez slammed into the stopped vehicles, which then burst into flames.
The tollway worker was killed and a state trooper critically injured.
Trooper Balder remains in critical but stable condition with internal injuries and severe burns. Velasquez was charged with 4 felonies related to driving while fatigued.
So there was no sign of him slowing down or stopping. Later found out he was on 3 hours of sleep on 37 hours of driving. I was knocked unconscious and I woke up a short time later on fire. Literally on fire, burning alive. I was yelling for my wife, obviously certain degree of panic or, not sure what to do. Emotion at the moment, knowing that I might die, screaming to the last person that you might love, yeah. I tried to start my squad car, nothing happened. I got on the radio and told dispatch I'd been hit, but nothing happened because the radios are in the trunk and they had been crushed. So the radios didn't work. I tried to open up my door, crushed, wouldn't work. Tried to run on my window, didn't work. Tried to run on the passenger window and it came down. As that cold air came in and swirled that air around, adrenaline set in and I flew out that passenger window. Got to do something to get out. The choice was to sit there and die.
On I-16, the 5 GSU nursing students were killed, 2 others were injured.
A truck driver may have fallen asleep and slammed into them. 5 were killed, 2 others hurt.
State police say a semi-truck driver fell asleep behind the wheel in a construction zone near.
This legislation is simple, but has the potential to save the trucking industry nearly $1 billion.
While I am not sure this bill is necessary, I have no objection whatsoever to its content.
The driver in this morning's fiery tractor-trailer crash on I-5 near South Center fell asleep at the wheel.
Section 132 in the bill continues to suspend the enforcement of the 34-hour restart provision.
The federal government can decide a lot of things, but what's the best work and rest pattern for people should not be one of those things.
We want to run under a reasonable hours of service rule that allows us, though, the flexibility to be on the road in those hours that are less congested.
Truck driver fatigue is a known killer. And yet, as I speak to you, members of Congress are poised to make this problem worse by forcing truck drivers to work and drive even longer hours and take away their weekend off.
The change would be from an already high 70-hour work week to a more than 80-hour work week.
The driver of a tractor-trailer truck admits to falling asleep at the wheel and slamming into a dozen cars.
Section 134 in the bill would prohibit DOT from issuing regulations to increase the minimum insurance requirements.
Increased liability requirements, they don't always equal safety now, do they?
We want to make sure that we don't put any undue burdens on our small businesses.
The corn nuts and the beef jerky we're eating here don't grow in supermarkets. They're carried by small business trucking companies.
Police say Brewer crashed a tractor-trailer into 8 vehicles, killing 6 people on I-75.
Ruslan Penkiv entered a construction zone. 5 people, including a mother and her 2 children, were killed.
Section 125 in the bill would allow twin 33-foot trailers on the highway.
They're being used now successfully, the twin 33 trailers, in Florida and South Dakota. I think this is a good thing.
From a safety perspective, double 33-foot trailers, basically a disaster.
Mom's vehicle hit the double trailer sticking out into the lane ahead of her, spun out, and was then struck by another tractor trailer which sliced her vehicle in half.
The bill rolling this all back was done in an appropriations process. It was not reviewed. It was not considered by the committee of jurisdiction upon which I sit.
The appropriations bills, like the omnibus or like our current appropriations bills, these things do have to pass eventually in some form, unless you want to shut the government down. So I think the advocates of relaxing the rules or eliminating the rules, they see that and think this is the train to catch, so to speak.
The trucking industry is very powerful.
and it uses its power.
Yeah, the industry and its advocates are apparently just relentless.
They work at it all the time. They have lots of lobbyists, lots of people in every state. There's an office in every single state for the trucking industry.
It's not a healthy process, and it risks, I think, putting drivers, the driving public, at grave risk simply because somebody railroaded something through the Congress.
There is no one in this body, in the trucking industry, among their customers, who wants to see trucking accidents.
Troopers say he fell asleep behind the wheel and crashed.
A semi-truck driver fell asleep behind the wheel.
THP officials say the truck crossed onto oncoming traffic, killing 20-year-old William Griggs, 19-year-old Cassidy Leonard, and their little girl.
A driver asleep at the wheel caused this crash. A truck driver who fell asleep at the wheel.
Officer Chris Cordell was running a radar check, and while he was doing that, a truck, 18-wheeler, came down and smashed into the back of him. We prayed, but it didn't turn out good.
We're the ones out there that are trying to enforce these laws and keep these roads safe.
I ask Congress to stand up for law enforcement and stand up for the American families that travel on our roadways every day.
I know some people are trying to do what they can do, but they really should be doing the right thing. Any life that is saved through any legislation, how can that be a loss? I don't understand that.
Trucker convicted for the I-88 crash that killed a tollway worker and injured a state trooper gets the max sentence.
A judge sentenced Renato Velasquez to 3 years in prison.
When I walked around the fire in the truck and I came out of the smoke, Aurora PD was already on scene. It was, I don't have the words. It was, what is this? What happened? You know, holy smokes, you know, just that kind of stuff. Got this guy walking up with his skin hanging off his arm. My pants were all burned off to the skin. Yeah.
It crushed the compartment of your car.
Yes.
So you only had about 1.5 feet left between the seat and the front
yes.
of the car. But have you looked at those pictures?
I have seen them. I have them all. I could easily shrivel up in a ball and sit at home and just waste away, and that's not my mindset. That's the military in me. You got to move on, pick up and move on, and try to make a difference for the future. You know, we all take an oath to make things better in the long run, and that's got to be our focus now. It's a humbling experience. It's not all about me, it's about making things better.